Welcome to Chronicles of Eden. Today we uncover one of the most shocking stories in biblical history, a tale the scriptures tell, but many prefer to forget. This is the story of a man who had everything and lost it all. His name was Solomon, the wisest king who ever lived, the richest ruler in human history, God's chosen vessel. Yet by the end of his reign, he became the very thing God despised most, an idol worshiper who led a nation into darkness. How does the man blessed with divine wisdom become God's greatest disappointment? Stay with me, because this forbidden story will change everything you thought you knew about King Solomon. Our story begins in the ancient city of Gibeon, where a young king knelt before the altar of the Lord. Solomon, newly crowned after the death of his father David, carried the weight of a nation on his shoulders. That night, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream. "Ask for whatever you want me to give you," God said. "Imagine the creator of the universe offering you anything your heart desires." Solomon's answer shocked even the heavens. "Give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong." God was so pleased he granted Solomon not only wisdom, but also riches and honor beyond measure. "I will give you what you have not asked for," the Lord promised, "so that in your lifetime you will have no equal among kings." Solomon's wisdom became legendary. From solving disputes between mothers to composing thousands of proverbs and songs, his mind was unmatched. Kings and queens traveled from distant lands just to hear him speak. But Solomon's greatest achievement was yet to come. For 7 years, he built the most magnificent structure the world had ever seen, the Temple of the Lord in Jerusalem. Picture it: walls covered in pure gold, floors of polished stone, massive bronze pillars reaching toward heaven. When the temple was finished, the glory of the Lord filled it so powerfully that priests couldn't even stand to minister. At the dedication, Solomon prayed, "But will God really dwell on earth? The heavens, even the highest heaven, cannot contain you. How much less this temple I have built?" God responded, promising, "I have consecrated this temple. My eyes and my heart will always be there." Solomon's fame soared. Silver became as common as stones in Jerusalem. His fleet brought gold from distant lands. His wisdom and wealth became the stuff of legends. Even the Queen of Sheba traveled to test him with hard questions. After witnessing his wisdom, she confessed, "Not even half was told to me." Solomon had reached the pinnacle of human achievement. But this is where our story takes a dark turn. Success became Solomon's greatest enemy. As his power grew, so did his pride and his appetite for more. Solomon began marrying foreign princesses to secure political alliances. One wife became 10, 10 became 100. The scriptures tell us he eventually had 700 wives and 300 concubines. God had warned, "You must not intermarry with them, because they will surely turn your hearts after their gods." But Solomon thought he was different. Surely his wisdom would protect him. He was wrong. As Solomon aged, his foreign wives turned his heart away from the Lord. They brought their gods, Ashtoreth, Molech, Chemosh. At first, Solomon may have attended ceremonies just to please his wives. But compromise is like a cancer. It spreads. Soon the builder of God's temple was bowing to idols of wood and stone. The Lord's anger burned against Solomon. This was the man he had chosen, blessed, and appeared to twice. God appeared to Solomon one final time, not to bless, but to judge. "Since this is your attitude, and you have not kept my covenant and my decrees, I will most certainly tear the kingdom away from you and give it to one of your subordinates. But for the sake of David your father, I will not do it during your lifetime. I will tear it out of the hand of your son." Enemies rose up against Solomon. Hadad the Edomite rebelled in the south. Rezin seized Damascus in the north. And within his own court, Jeroboam was chosen to lead a rebellion. The prophet Ahijah tore his cloak into 12 pieces and gave 10 to Jeroboam. "Take 10 pieces, for this is what the Lord says. See, I am going to tear the kingdom out of Solomon's hand and give you 10 tribes." Solomon's kingdom was crumbling. The wisest man in history had become a cautionary tale about the dangers of compromise and pride. Solomon reigned for 40 years, but what should have been a glorious legacy became a story of what might have been. The scriptures record his death with stark simplicity. Then he rested with his ancestors and was buried in the city of David, his father. No great mourning, no celebration of his achievements, just a quiet end to a life that began with so much promise. God's judgment came to pass. Solomon's son Rehoboam inherited the throne, but his harshness sparked a rebellion. The kingdom split in two, Israel in the north, Judah in the south. The united kingdom was torn apart, never to be reunited. And perhaps most tragic of all, Solomon knew better. He wrote the words that condemned him. Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. The wisest man who ever lived had all the knowledge he needed to avoid his fate, but knowledge without obedience is worthless. Wisdom without humility leads to disaster. Solomon's story is a mirror for us all. It shows that no one is beyond the reach of temptation, no matter how blessed, how wise, or how close to God they may seem. Success can be more dangerous than failure, and compromise always leads to catastrophe. But there's hope. Even in judgment, God remained faithful to his promises. Even when Solomon failed, God's plan continued, leading to the greatest king of all, Jesus Christ. What about you? Are there places in your life where you're making compromises? Solomon's story warns us, no one is that strong. If this story has opened your eyes to the dangers of compromise and the importance of faithfulness, subscribe to Chronicles of Eden. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss powerful stories that can transform your life. Leave a comment below. What lesson from Solomon's life speaks to you the most? And remember, in the Chronicles of Eden, every story has the power to change your life. Until next time, may you walk in wisdom, humility, and faithfulness to the one who never fails.